These might be things we've been taught are bad or inappropriate, so we lock them away. But here's the twist. Jung believed that this shadow also contains powerful gifts. Inside the parts we reject lie clues to our purpose, potential, and wholeness. Take a second and think. How often do you push certain thoughts aside because they make you uncomfortable? Or feel a strong reaction to someone's behavior, only to later realize they reflected something in yourself you didn't want to admit? That's your shadow showing up. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The shadow isn't just about hidden pain, it's about buried potential. It's the energy we repress out of fear, shame, or guilt. But what if that energy is the very thing we need to unlock our most powerful self? Think about your own life. Are there parts of you you'd rather no one ever sees? Maybe you wrestle with fear, resentment, jealousy, or even dreams you've labeled as selfish or unrealistic. What if those weren't signs of failure but clues? What if they were messages asking to be heard? Jung believed that when we face our shadow rather than ignore it, we begin a journey towards something he called individuation, a process of becoming your full, authentic self. This work isn't for the faint of heart. It asks us to be brutally honest, to walk into the dark corners of our psyche and sit with what we find. But the payoff? It's massive. Individuation is the path to self-realization. Not the mask you wear for the world, but the real, unfiltered you. Jung believed the way to grow isn't by fighting the shadow, but by accepting it and integrating it into your life. And honestly, this idea shows up in so many stories we already love. Every hero faces their shadow. Hercules wasn't just battling monsters. He had to face his own inner demons. Luke Skywalker didn't become a Jedi until he faced the darkness inside himself. These aren't just fantasy tales. They're reflections of our inner world. The real question is, are you willing to be your own hero? Are you ready to stop running and ask your shadow what it's trying to teach you? Jung's perspective reminds us that the shadow isn't a threat. It's a guide. It shows up in dreams, gut feelings, and emotional reactions that seem out of proportion. Ever had the same dream over and over? Or felt strangely drawn to a certain person or idea? That might be your shadow reaching out, trying to tell you something important. So how do you start working with your shadow? First, pay attention. Notice your emotional reactions, especially the ones that seem too strong for the situation. These are signals. Then, instead of pushing those feelings down or judging them, try to sit with them, accept them, not to act on them blindly, but to understand where they come from and what they're asking of you. That kind of self-awareness is a game changer. Imagine how different your life could be if you weren't ashamed of the parts you've been hiding. What if, instead of fearing your flaws, you saw them as invitations to grow? What if embracing all of you, light and dark, was the key to becoming truly confident, authentic, and free? In the next part of our journey, we'll look at how to actually spot your shadow and begin integrating it into your life. We'll walk through real steps for transforming what you once feared into fuel for your purpose. And just a heads up, the most powerful insight is still ahead. So stick around, because by the end of this, you won't just understand your shadow, you'll know how to use it as your compass towards the life you were meant to live. Let's keep going and unlock the amazing potential that's already inside you. Let's take a closer look at the shadow and how understanding this hidden side of yourself can open the door not just to your purpose, but to a deeper kind of peace within. The shadow shows up in many ways, in our habits, our relationships, and especially in how we react to things. Think about a time when you had an intense emotional reaction and later thought, "Why did I get so worked up?" That flood of emotion, when logic seems to disappear, is often your shadow peeking through. So, why does it have such a hold on us? Carl Jung believed it's because the shadow lives in the unconscious. The more we try to ignore or push it down, the more power it gains. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The more you resist, the stronger it bounces back up. Now picture this. What if you could stop fighting it and actually understand where those emotions come from? You'd probably feel more in control, more at peace. One of the most powerful parts of shadow work is learning about projection. Jung said that when we disown certain traits in ourselves, we tend to see them more clearly in other people, and not always in a good way. For example, if you feel like you're not good enough, you might be quick to judge people who seem overly confident or dismissive toward those who are great at something you struggle with. That's not just a weird personality quirk, it's a mirror. The world is reflecting back parts of you that you haven't made peace with yet. Jung put it best. Knowing your own darkness is the best way to deal with the darkness in others. So, who in your life brings out a big emotional reaction? A coworker, a friend, someone in your family. Instead of blaming them or focusing on what they did, ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Could it be that you're seeing something in them that reminds you of something in yourself? This isn't about blame, it's about growth. Each time you catch yourself projecting, it's a chance to reclaim something you've hidden and bring it into the light. Let's connect this idea to your life's purpose. A lot of the time, the things we hide are directly tied to our gifts and passions. Maybe you've been hiding your creativity because you're scared it won't be good enough. But facing that fear might be exactly what leads you to the work you're meant to do. Jung believed that purpose isn't something we stumble across out in the world. It's something we uncover inside ourselves. It's about becoming the real you, not just the version others expect. As he put it, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So, how do you begin that journey? Start by asking yourself the hard questions. What do I fear most about myself? What have I been told not to show? What dreams have I walked away from because they seemed silly or unrealistic? Write your answers down. Let them breathe on paper. You might be surprised what you find when you actually give those hidden parts of yourself a voice. Another great way to dig into your shadow is through journaling. Jung was a big fan of this. He kept detailed journals and encouraged others to do the same, especially about their dreams. Dreams are like a direct line to the unconscious, and the shadow often shows up there in symbols, maybe as a person, an animal, or a strange event. If you have a dream that sticks with you or keeps coming back, don't brush it off. Ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? Think of your life like a canvas. If you only use light, bright colors, your painting might look nice, but it'll lack depth. It's the contrast, the dark and the light, that makes a picture truly powerful. Integrating your shadow is like learning to paint with the full range of color. It doesn't mean acting on every dark thought or impulse. It means recognizing that they're there, that they're part of being human, and choosing to respond with understanding. This kind of self-acceptance leads to real compassion, not just for yourself, but for others too. You start to realize we all carry something we're wrestling with, and that shared struggle connects us more than we know. Embracing your shadow isn't something you do once and check off your list. It's an ongoing process. It takes time, guts, and a real desire to grow. But the payoff? It's huge. You'll gain clarity, inner calm, and a stronger connection to your true self. And here's something really powerful. Your purpose isn't just about you. Jung believed that when we align with our true selves, we help lift the whole of humanity. Every step you take toward becoming whole adds to the collective experience. Your healing matters not just for you, but for everyone around you. In the next section, we'll break down some practical ways to bring your shadow into your daily life, so you can stop running from it and start growing with it. Let's talk about how embracing your hidden side can lead to better relationships, more creativity, and a life that actually feels like yours. We're just getting to the most powerful part. Stick around as we dig into the biggest truth about your shadow and how it just might be the key to everything you're meant to become. As we move further into Carl Jung's ideas, let's focus on how you can bring shadow work into your real, everyday life. Knowing your shadow is a great start, but real change happens when you actually integrate it. That's where awareness turns into action, and where you start to live more honestly and fully. One of the first things you'll need is raw self-honesty. This means being able to look at yourself clearly, without sugarcoating or making excuses. It takes guts to admit things like, "Yeah, I get jealous," or "Sometimes I judge people for no good reason." But here's what matters. Being honest with yourself isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about seeing clearly. Think of it like cleaning out a messy room. You can't make use of the space until you face the mess. Same goes for your shadow. You can't work with it if you won't admit it's there. A really helpful way to start is to notice what sets you off emotionally. The next time something or someone triggers a big emotional reaction in you, stop and ask, "What's going on here? Why does this bother me so much? Am I seeing something in them that reflects something in me?" Like, say you get annoyed by someone who seems too sure of themselves. Could it be that deep down, you wish you felt more confident too? Or maybe you've been taught that wanting to be seen is wrong, so their boldness hits a nerve. These moments can be uncomfortable, and it's easy to just blame the other person, but that misses the point. The goal isn't to feel bad, it's to understand yourself better. Every emotional reaction is a clue pointing to something deeper. Once you start noticing those patterns, the next step is having a conversation with your shadow. Seriously. Jung used to have his patients imagine their shadow as a separate person and talk to it. Sounds weird, but it can actually be super powerful. Picture yourself sitting across from that part of you and ask, "Why do you feel this way? What are you trying to protect me from? What do you need me to hear?" You can do this through journaling, visualizing, or just sitting quietly and letting answers come up. The point is to give space to this hidden part of you. Your shadow isn't out to hurt you. It's usually just been doing its best to help in some strange, outdated way. And here's where things get really interesting. Once you begin this kind of inner dialogue, you might uncover stuff you never expected. Maybe that fear you've carried for years comes from something you went through as a kid. Or maybe a part of you you've always ignored is actually one of your biggest strengths. This kind of self-discovery doesn't stay locked inside. It changes how you connect with other people too. Your shadow doesn't just shape your inner life. It influences your relationships in big ways. Think about someone you keep having the same argument with. Or maybe you keep attracting the same type of partner. That's not just coincidence. It's likely your shadow at play. Jung believed that relationships are mirrors. When you clash with someone, it's often because they're showing you something you haven't fully accepted in yourself. But once you realize this, conflict becomes a chance to grow. Instead of pointing fingers, You can ask, what's this teaching me about me? That kind of shift opens the door to more honest, compassionate relationships with others and with yourself. Now let's talk about how all of this ties into creativity and purpose. Jung said the shadow isn't just a container for the bad stuff. It's where your buried power lives too. The energy you've used to keep things hidden? That's fuel. That's creative fire. Maybe you've been sitting on a passion because it felt silly or risky. Maybe you've buried anger that could become the drive behind powerful change. When you stop hiding those parts of yourself, you get that energy back, and you can use it to create something amazing. Think about the artists, writers, and leaders who've made a real impact. You'll notice they didn't shy away from their pain or darkness. They used it. Frida Kahlo is a perfect example. Her art poured straight from her shadow, raw and honest and real. This is what happens when you let your whole self into the room. Flaws, fears, talents, and all. You stop living for approval. You start living from truth. And that's where real creativity, connection, and purpose begin. Martin Luther King Jr. took his anger at injustice and transformed it into a force that changed the world. Jung also believed in the power of creativity as a path toward personal growth and self-realization, whether through painting, writing, music, or even solving complex problems. He saw creative expression as a way to connect with the unconscious, including the shadow. Now think about your own life. Are there dreams or projects you've set aside because they felt too risky or left you feeling exposed? What if those things you've pushed aside are actually your truest self trying to come to life? As you begin to welcome your shadow rather than fight it, you'll notice things start to shift. The traits you once felt ashamed of or tried to avoid might turn out to be some of your greatest sources of strength and insight. With time, you'll find yourself living more freely, with greater honesty, purpose, and confidence. In the final part of this journey, we'll dive into the deepest truth about your shadow and how facing it can change not only your inner life, but your impact on the world around you. Stick with us, because what comes next will pull everything together and shine a light on your highest potential. As we come to the heart of it all, take a breath and really think about what we've discovered so far. That part of yourself you've tried to hide, the one that feels uncomfortable or messy. It's not a burden, it's a gift. Your shadow holds the key to who you really are, your creativity, your truth, your purpose. But what does it mean to truly embrace your shadow? And how does that act of acceptance ripple out into every part of your life? To answer that, we need to go back to one of Jung's most powerful insights. You can't become whole by cutting off parts of yourself. Real wholeness happens when you bring everything into alignment. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That's the core of shadow work. It's not about pretending the dark parts of you don't exist. It's about bringing them into the light where they can help you grow. So how do you do that? One of the most powerful ways is through vulnerability. When you're willing to admit your fears, your flaws, and your uncertainties, you take away their power to control you. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's real strength. It's saying, "This is who I am, and that's enough." Think about how often we wear masks in our daily lives, only showing the parts we think others will approve of. It's human, but it also holds us back from real connection. When you embrace your shadow, you allow yourself to be seen as a whole person, not just a polished version of yourself. And when you show up fully, you give others permission to do the same. That kind of realness is magnetic. It builds deeper relationships, stronger trust, and a sense of belonging that can't be faked. And this doesn't stop at personal connections. It touches everything you do. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop wasting energy on hiding. That inner peace starts to influence how you handle challenges, how you seize opportunities, and how you pursue what matters to you. You become someone who moves through life grounded, whole, and aligned. Let's talk about purpose through that lens. A lot of people spend years searching for it, thinking it's out there somewhere, waiting to be discovered. But Jung taught that purpose is something that rises from within. It's the natural result of living in alignment with your full self, including your shadow. Your purpose isn't just a job or a goal. It's the sum of your story, your strengths, your passions, your pain, and how they all come together to shape your impact on the world. The shadow is a vital part of that story. It's not the thing holding you back. It's the thing pointing you forward. Maybe the struggles you've faced aren't signs you're broken. Maybe they're the foundation for something powerful. Someone who's wrestled with feeling unworthy might end up helping others feel seen and valued. Someone who's been angry at injustice might turn that fire into advocacy or reform. Your pain, when understood, can become your wisdom. Now here's the most important insight of all. Jung believed that shadow work isn't just about healing individuals. It has the power to heal humanity. Why? Because when you face your own darkness, you become more compassionate, more forgiving, more connected. You start to see that your struggles aren't just yours. They're human. They're shared. And when more people begin to own their shadows, we stop projecting our fears onto each other. We stop fighting battles that start within. We grow. Imagine a world where more of us chose to face ourselves honestly. Conflicts would ease, empathy would grow, and we'd move closer to a world of genuine understanding. That's the real power of doing this work. It's not just about becoming your best self. It's about creating a more conscious, kind, and connected world together. As we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Take a moment to look inward, not just at the parts of yourself that you're proud to show the world, but also at the pieces you've tucked away or tried to ignore. Ask yourself, what might my shadow be trying to show me? What lessons are hiding there, waiting to help me live more honestly and fully? What's one small action I can take today to start weaving these parts of myself back together? Keep in mind, this isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong journey. But every step you take brings you closer to being the person you're truly meant to be. Someone grounded in purpose, depth, and wholeness. Before we officially end, I'd love to hear from you. What did this exploration of the shadow bring up for you? Was there something that really struck a chord? Your thoughts, your reflections, even your questions, they might just be what someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey. This isn't a goodbye. It's the start of something new. A chapter where you stop hiding and start showing up as your whole self. Thank you for walking through this with me. I hope you keep finding strength, clarity, and peace as you dive deeper into who you really are. Thanks for being here.